Hey guys, welcome to the Warrior Biz Network. My name is Jasmine. I'm your host, and I'm joined today by Too Deep. How's it going, Too Deep?
Hey, Jasmine.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Going great, man.
Good. So, Too Deep, you are with an awesome group called the Firehouse Event Center. What's the actual name for it?
The Urban Firehouse.
That's right, Urban Firehouse. I should know this. I just haven't had enough coffee today. So Urban Firehouse. And before we jump into your business and the cool event space that you have here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'd love to hear kind of origin story for your name. So maybe tell us what region you're with, how long you've been a part of F3, and how did you get the name Too Deep?
Yeah, it's a good story. I still haven't told my 10-year-old son this story. I told him when he's a teenager, he might hear it. But so I am with the F3 Alliance, and I've been with F3 for about a year and a half. So I actually got named in California. I was visiting my wife's family. We were in the Rubicon region. My brother-in-law, his name is Drumstick. So he aged me. And, we go out there for a Saturday morning beat down. And I get into the middle of a naming circle. There's probably 20, 25 guys there. It felt a little overwhelming. So they're asking all these questions, and they say, tell us a story. Tell us a funny story. And my mind was just blanked out. I had no idea what to share. So I shared this story about when I was a teenager. I was at an underage drinking party, and it got busted by the cops. And there's probably 100 kids here. And so me and my twin brother, who's named Too Soft, and our best friend and some random girl, we all hid inside of a wall. The order is important. The first person in was Too Soft, then it was my friend, and then I was third, and then the last person in was this girl. So we're there for like 2 hours, right? This is before cell phones. We were screwed, and with our parents, even if we got out of it with the cops. So I was too deep inside the wall, okay, like the number 2. So we finally got busted because a cop flashed his light inside the wall, and he saw me and the girl, right? However, my friend was 3 deep, and my brother was 4 deep. So that's how we got busted. When I said 2 deep, everyone said, "Oh, 2 deep, 2 deep." So that's how I got named. But most people don't know that the initial naming was the number 2. So when that translated to Alliance, when I started going, it was just several months later. It was Too Deep, TOO, and I kind of like that, so I didn't correct it. It was written in stone and in Slack. So that's how I got my name.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story. Man, that is such a cool story. So I had no idea that it was the number 2 before it was TOO deep. So that's a crazy story. Now, how long have you been in F3 Alliance?
I've been with the F3 Alliance since January of 23.
Welcome to the Warrior Biz Network podcast, where the men of F3 Nation come to share, learn, and inspire, unlocking the secrets of business and life along the way. Join us as we dive into the stories of PAX entrepreneurs leading the charge in the world of business. From the heart-pounding challenges to the exhilarating triumphs, discover how these warriors in business are making an impact through the principles of fitness, fellowship, and faith. It's time to unleash your potential and join the ranks of F3's finest.
Okay, that's cool. And I remember seeing you and us doing like a beat down together, and immediately I was kind of intrigued by just what you did and how you did it. I think like business owners in F3 kind of seek out to find each other and just learn more, which is why too, like we're in a shield lock, right? It's not that there's anything better about us than people that aren't business owners, but it's like, hey, we think a little bit differently, and it'd be nice to have people that can resonate with the business owner side, which is why we formed the Warrior Biz Network. But you are now the AOQ for Armadillo Springs. now too. So how long have you been AOQ out there?
I think it was September of 23.
That's cool. Yeah, and you do a great job, man. Great leader of men. Um, Great job of keeping that growing, which is kind of a neat AO too, because it allows for him, it's which we consider the high impact men in training. So dads and sons get to come out there and work out, which is so cool. Our kids have gone out there a couple times.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. Well, tell us a little bit too deep. Tell us about your company. So Urban Firehouse. What in the world do you guys do?
Yeah, so Urban Firehouse, it got its name because it is a building that actually was a firehouse. In North Richland Hills, it was firehouse number one. It was built in the 80s. It was operational for a couple of decades, and then it was vacant. So my wife started an interior design firm, and we were looking for office space in the area. And we saw that, and we thought it would be perfect, right? Just old, abandoned, dilapidated. It needed a lot of love, and whatever we bought, we knew we were going to do a renovation, so it was really perfect for us. And so we transformed it for the purpose of office space. And when we were done with the renovation, really where what was called the engine room, where the fire trucks house, right, the dirty garage, it has been transformed into a beautiful event space. It's about 1,700 square feet.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's beautiful. Did you ever imagine the renovation that went on, or the way that it looks right now, would turn out as good as it did?
No, no, I didn't. I guess I did have high hopes because of, my wife was the one in charge and not me, but it turned out gorgeous. Where the bay doors used to be, now it's all glass. So there's a ton of natural light. The floors are stained concrete, white walls, lots of glass. So it's a really good shell of a space that can be, so a group could come in for an event and not put a single decoration up, and it would be totally cool. Or they could trick it up however they want with, balloons or bounce houses, whatever. So it's a very versatile space.
I've been there before too, and I can vouch it is incredible. You walk in those doors, you don't even have to walk in. You pull up in the parking lot, and you're already like in a wow phase of how beautiful it
Thanks.
is. It's incredible.
Appreciate it.
And you guys do like birthday parties, weddings. What are the biggest events that you guys do in that space?
Yeah, so surprisingly, birthday parties is probably the biggest hit. We do a lot of birthday parties, especially kid parties, and but it's really anything and everything between, all the way from baby showers to weddings to we've even had celebrations of life there, and really everything in between. Business luncheons. We had a political rally there not too long ago. It got pretty rowdy, but yeah, whatever the space, it can be used for many different things.
We were talking the other day about most memorable or powerful events because people are ready to get back together. I'm sure you've seen that too in the event space. I mean, you guys survived through COVID. Holy cow. I'm sure that was a challenge.
Yeah,
Like no one even allowed to get out. How did you guys
not a
weather
good
that
time
storm?
to when you operate a business that sole purpose is to bring people together. It was a horrible time to launch because we launched it in 2019, towards the end of 2019, and immediately had to pump the brakes, right? Because nobody could gather. And even when they could gather, it was half capacity for a while. So it took a minute to get it back up, but we have seen the party goers are in full swing now, ready to do what they do. So
Wow. Yeah. So imagine if you survived through that era of COVID. Hopefully you guys are thriving now. We're seeing a much better um, turnout of people actually doing events now, booking events, booking birthday parties. So tell us some stories. I mean, I believe, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. This is about you and not me, but I believe that events are so incredibly powerful. I mean, we do live events and workshops all the time, and I find when you can get people together, whether you're celebrating something, um, or having, business networking meeting together, the power of being together versus just virtual is huge. And the fact that you guys enable people to get together to celebrate, have events, um, I'm sure there's been some just incredible things that have happened there. But what's maybe a story or a couple of stories that you could share of types of events that you've seen there that have moved you?
Yeah, I think so. To, to answer your question more generally, first, I think a lot of people like the story behind our space because it was a firehouse, right? Firefighters are cool. Firehouse is cool. The most commonly asked question I get is, does the pole still exist? So unfortunately, our firehouse was a single story, so there was no pole. I have thought about adding a pole just so we could say, yes, here's the pole. But the point is, a lot of people want to associate their parties, their events, their special memories with that story, which is neat, right? And especially if you're a young
Yeah.
bride, you're looking for you're going to get married one time, and you could go to an event hall and have a great wedding, or you can go to some place that's different. It's just cool. It's got a cool vibe, and it has a really unique story behind it. And so a lot of people do like to associate their special memories with that story. So that's I think that does set us apart. In terms of probably the most memorable event that I can think of, um, we had we were approached by a family who had a 12-year-old daughter who was terminally ill, and one of the things on her bucket list was to have a senior prom. And so we hosted that for her, and she had a senior prom in our building, and she unfortunately passed away days later. That was definitely on the top of the list for memorable.
Yeah. What a what a neat opportunity that you guys got to provide that space for her to have kind of one of her last wishes come
Yeah.
true for a senior prom. That's neat. And you and your wife, you and your M are a multi-talented team. I mean, I think the power, so Too Deep is an expert, like behind the scenes organizational operations guy that makes all these dreams come true. And your M is kind of the creative genius, like featured on HGTV. Like she's done some pretty amazing things. What are some of the accomplishments that she's had?
Oh man, I how long do you have? I mean, it's gotten to the point we joke because she'll say something to our kids like, "Oh, we were in this magazine or we got this award," and no one's impressed anymore. But she's had so many, but no, she sought out after because um, you know she's put together a special design firm. We've been fortunate to hire some very talented designers, and we've created something special. She's created something special with that. What we are always trying to do in the design space is to be ahead. The moment something's trending, we are out. We're not. We're. My wife uses the phrase "design forward." Um, because she's always trying to be in front of that curve. She's trying to set the trends and not to follow them. So she is a true visionary. So if you've ever read, we were talking about this in our Shield Lock, but the book called Rocket Fuel, um, it breaks down that there are some people in life that are true visionaries, and they are the ones that they just can't stop the ideas. They're just constantly having idea after idea. There you go. Yep. So just so you guys know, Jasmine is a true visionary. He has a plethora of ideas, and which is awesome, right? There's not many people that are true visionaries, and it's a God-given gift. But what a visionary needs is an integrator. Okay. And so an integrator is someone who is kind of the opposite, right? So they specialize in the tactical, operational, process oriented. So if you have a visionary and an integrator together, it's a very great team, right? Because then the integrator takes all of these ideas, pokes holes in it, says this one will never work. This one might be something. Let's implement it. And so I feel like we complement each other very well with that, because she is definitely the creative genius in our couple, and then I'm the integrator. So, and we both love to work. So I guess that makes us a good team.
How many kids do you have?
We have 5 kids.
So you guys have
Yeah.
done something really special. I mean, you've mastered the art of having kids, and
I'm
And
really good at making babies.
I mean, that's what it says in your business card, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
the dream maker and the baby.
I didn't
So
realize you saw that business card, but
you carry two, depending on who you're talking to. You make them take a personality
right,
test first to decide which one you give. Um, but I mean, I think that's really interesting too. I mean, for the PAX listening here that are business owners and maybe even like trying to work with their wives or partnering with their wives on the business side. I mean, so you find it's a good balance of having the visionary and the integrator. Did you always know, or let me try to thinking of a good way to ask this. So before you read Rocket Fuel, did you guys just play that dance? Didn't really know what it was called, but just knew that she was this gifted creative visionary and you were a great tactical executioner. And tell me, how did that come about?
that's a great question. So I was still working for PepsiCo when I read that book. I had gone to a part-time status after I tried to leave, and they offered me a place to stay part-time so that I could help her more, which was very generous. And we did that for a couple of years. And we were getting to a point where she had so much to do that I knew that I was going to need to leave the corporate job. But we didn't have the words to translate what we, I think, instinctively knew. But when we read the book, it helped us define, okay, this not only did it give us the words to define what we already instinctively knew, but it gave us the confidence to make that step, which at the time felt risky for me to walk away from a corporate job with benefits and health insurance and all the things, right? And then, for me to know that, okay, I was going to add value, even though I don't have a creative bone in my body, right? But I could join the team for the design space, the event space. We've got all kinds of projects going on, and I could join that and bring my. It felt validating for me because it allowed me to realize what I bring to the table, even though it's not glamorous and in the spotlight. I'm more behind the scenes, but it's all valuable, right? And it just reinforced with her the same thing. And so when we did this, we went all in together. We literally, at the advice of our business coach, wrote out all the jobs and duties that she did and all the duties that I did, so that there was very clear as to who does what. And so I tell people all the time, they ask like, how is it working with your wife? Well, man, I feel like we have different jobs. I'm in my lane, she's in her lane. And then kind of at the end of the day, if we haven't touched base, we're kind of recapping the day, right? As if we're working on different things. And so it's gone really well.
That's awesome. How long have you? What year did you say you opened this? So you were at PepsiCo. You started this part time. When did you fully commit and jump in?
2021. So we're coming
Okay.
up on 3 years.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you'd probably recommend and maybe not even like your M, but anyone that is working with people, whether that's like business coach or consultants, but to kind of maybe even go through that Rocket Fuel book and identify where their strengths are and maybe where the gap is that they need to find people to fill that gap.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think especially for an entrepreneur starting out, you could be an integrator and maybe you need a visionary, right?
Mm,
Or I think a lot of entrepreneurs are visionaries, just because that's the types of people that are comfortable taking the risks, but they find themselves doing all this work that they're not good at. They're forced to wear so many different hats that um, they either burn out or they unfortunately fail. I think that if you are an entrepreneur, it's vital to find the people that are good at what you are. You have to get those people around you. Um, so
that's incredible. I remember when I when I had like 15 full-time people working for me, my number two is always in command, like are the people that I would directly hired. Would I say accidentally, now I can see it was an accident, but they were just like me. So I would hire these other visionary people and expect them to be integrators and be like, what's wrong with these people? Like, I really like them. I connect with them. Like, and we do Spartan races together, but they don't get their stuff done. And I realized, oh, I'm looking for people that are just like me and not looking at a model like that to say, where are the gaps? So that was a really hard learning lesson. So I think that's so incredibly important, is to realize, if you have a small team, who's the visionary, who's the integrator, and is there a third piece in that book? I can't remember.
No, not in the book. The book really focuses on those two.
On those two, okay.
Those two. Obviously, there's other people involved in it. It takes an army, right? It takes a team of people to get all the goals accomplished. So yeah.
There's another book I love that kind of complements that, and it's called The E-Myth Revisited by is it Michael Gruber? I believe I might get that wrong, but if you Google E-Myth Revisited, but he talks about the three components, which is kind of the same. It's like you need the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician, and the goal is like the entrepreneur, much like your wife, your M, she's going to go out there, make a bunch of noise, create chaos because that's how you create business. So create chaos, and then the manager is the one that has to organize the chaos, and then the technician is the one that can actually complete the organized work. And I remember several times in my career, and maybe you've seen this too, is I would create chaos and there was no manager piece, and then it would go directly from chaos to execution, and then people would get frustrated. Be like, look, I don't have time to organize this. Just figure it out and do it. But it was nice when you go through, and maybe that's part of like the tactician's role, is to say, especially if you're in, like, hey, I'm going to take all of this chaos and I'm going to help it, put it into executionable bite-sized tasks, and then get it done or do it. But unless you have that type of system, it can just feel absolutely like flying by the seat of your pants, or like backyard football, which is okay sometimes, but it's not scalable, and everyone burns out, I think, when you just only do that model.
Yeah. Well, and you need all the roles, right? And without that chaos, you'll never go anywhere, right? If I was trying to open a business on my own, I would not be anywhere close to where we are today, because I have a different skill set. I don't build that ship at sea. Like, I've noticed, you're more of a ship builder at sea guy, just like my wife, and we need people like you that are willing to just jump out there and figure it out. And then there's guys like me that's like, well, let's look at the plans and let's come up with a 3-year contingency, and so somewhere in the middle is kind of where you need to land. So
yeah, it's the gas and the brakes, right? And I love the analogy of building the ship at sea. We talked about that in our shield lock breakfast. I think that's such a great analogy. It's I always tell people it's like building your wings on the way down. So it's like, man, we just got to go. Like, we'll figure it out, but we need to get moving. And then the integrators are, well, let's figure some of it out, and you can move a little bit, but we can't just go. Like, this is not baked bread yet. This is going to be doughy and not taste good. I understand you just want to serve it to people, but let's let it bake a little bit longer so it actually, is okay.
right.
For we serving.
Yeah. Well, in following the ship analogy, we were talking about, the downside of doing that is sometimes you lose some ships, right? Because you get out there and it just doesn't work. But I guarantee you, I feel like, if you try 10 things and 5 of them work, that's better than spending all your time on 1 or 2 things and it actually works. And maybe you don't lose any ships, but that you only have 2 ships out to sea. So
yeah, I love that, man. So tell me, so back to your space. You've got an incredibly beautiful space. What I like about it too is it's right by the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. So it's a great place for destination. What are some of the neat things that people say that they love about that space?
Yeah, I think I think probably the top of mind is the story of just the fact that they're standing in a building that used to house firefighters, right? I think that there it brings a factor to it that you can't reproduce that. But when you're in there, a lot of the things that we hear from people is so much natural light. It's spacious. It's beautifully designed. Um, just it's got white walls. There's got a beautiful loft where our design firm works. So, it's got some design elements that make it where you can really create anything you want. If you want to bring in a lot of decorations, you can transform the space to really anything. I've seen some crazy birthday parties, and maybe it's the days of Instagram, right, where people are trying to outdo everyone else. I never got a birthday party like that when I was a kid, and my kids certainly don't get birthday parties like that. But they'll bring in, bands and bounce houses and characters that are dressed up, and they park photo booths out front. They'll bring pizza trucks in the back. They just go all out. So it's pretty incredible to watch.
What from a seasonal perspective, you guys have that great outdoor space. What are the times that gets unused? Are there certain times you have to close it down, or do you have heaters and stuff out there if people want to do it outdoors in the cold?
Yeah, it's really come down to a preference. We don't offer heaters. It gets hot in the summer. I'm surprised to see some people still take advantage of it. There are sections of the outdoors. We have a nice side patio that gets a lot of shade. So we'll see people utilize that. Our backyard is turfed, and it has furniture out there. So, there's some big oak trees, and unless it's August, people are definitely utilizing the backyard.
Have you guys had any I know you said you've done some business conferences. Have you done any like business retreats where it's like a 1 day or multi-day event where there's some speakers that come in or anything to that magnitude?
We've had a couple of those, yeah, and they were definitely successful. We also hosted a marriage seminar that went from Friday night to Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
That went really well. We actually attended that as participants of the seminar. So that was neat.
That's great. So I would say, like, obviously this is for in the DFW area, and I think there's two folds here for the PAX listening. One, I think there's some incredible insight and value that Two Deep sharing on, how to construct a successful business as an entrepreneur with both the visionary and integrator and what that's looked like for his M. So I think huge value there, no matter what stage of business you're in. Like that's a great book. Again, it's the rocket fuel. I don't think Two Deep has an affiliate link where he earns commission on that.
No.
So it's a shameless nonprofit plug there.
Right.
But also, if you know someone, it sounds like in the DFW area, or if you need like a business retreat offsite, I mean, it's a great place to do business. Definitely check that out for, any of those things. So birthday party, business conference retreat, wedding, beautiful spot, great location. And then we're going to put a link here in show notes too. But if you go to the Warrior Biz Network and you just search for Urban Firehouse, you'll be able to get in contact with Two Deep, see all of his information, get connected up there. Anything else that you want to share, Two Deep, that we missed on either like the history of the firehouse or anything else that we're leaving on the table?
No, I don't think so. I do want to say if you want to see it virtually, you could go to the website at urbanfirehouseevents.com. And there is a link that you can click for a virtual tour, and you can basically virtually walk through the inside. You can take it to the side patio and outside and just see the indoor and outdoor space. I think that would be beneficial to some people. And if you want to book a tour, you can reach out to our director of events. Her name is Shelly Brandt. Her email is hello at urbanfirehouseevents.com. She'd be happy to set up a tour if anyone's interested.
Awesome. That's great. Two Deep, man, thank you for being on the show today. So what's funny, we didn't even mention this. He's actually in the office with me, but I don't have the right setup. So I'm not that tech fancy yet, although you'd think I would be. So he's in like the conference room and I'm just here at the table. So I can actually see him through the glass right now. Hey, what's up? So I've gotten the honor and privilege to getting to really know Two Deep in my Shield Lock group, come to his space, see the stuff, and see him lead not only the high impact men, but high impact men in training, the youngins and just lead the men that show up to F3 group. So it's been awesome to see you lead, man, and see how God continues to put us in neat spaces together and do life together.
Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure just getting to know you and seeing you, out in front and all that you do for F3. I was there when you got named, and when you got named Jasmine, I went home and told my wife the story, and I thought, there's no way he's going to be coming back. So I'm so glad I was wrong, man. It's been a pleasure. Just being a friend and working with you.
That's good. So guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Warrior Biz Network podcast. We really hope today's story has inspired you to push the boundaries and strive for excellence in both your business and personal life. Remember, the journey of 43 feet begins with a single step. So take that step today, continue to build your legacy as a warrior in business and a leader in life. And for more inspiring stories and resources, please make sure to visit the website at warriorbiznetwork.com. We'll catch you guys next time.